Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the big show. I am your host, Jerk, and how's everybody doing? I don't know about you all, but I have been knee-deep in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It has really been a pretty impressive one for the most part, and though my precious Kings have been removed from contention, hey, considering many were expecting us near the bottom of the pack, I'd say we're ahead of schedule. But you aren't here to hear me ramble about the most beautiful game. You are here to hear me ramble about the Battle Boat game. So let's get today's guest out here, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for the U.S. Navy Tier 7 Premium Battleship. Give it up for Alabama. That's right, Alabama, home of the Crimson Tide and white barbecue sauce. I've never had it. I'd be willing to try it, but something about it kind of sounds wrong, and that's also why we've never seen this ship on the big show before, in spite of the fact that I think this was the first Global XP ship ever brought into the game. It was, in fact, the last Global XP ship I ever got, and I actually got it out of a crate during all that New Year's crate giveaway business, and my reasons were simple. I needed another American Tier 7 battleship like I needed another hole in my head. I mean, I had Iowa, Kansas, Georgia, and Massachusetts, so what is Alabama going to offer that those don't? And the answer is not a lot. But before we get much further, let me put the commander and modules up on the big screen, and we've got Billiam Sims with Andy Stunningham and Freaky Beepley. See, if I put those modules I had on here on the Massachusetts, it is essentially the exact same ship, but with the Massachusetts having much better secondaries. However, it does afford me the option to go pure brawler on the Massachusetts and accuracy on the Alabama. But who needs accuracy when you've positioned yourself into a brawling spot, Jerk? Yes, you are correct. But check this out. I don't think I have ever had a video before that can demonstrate a crossfire and why you want them as much as this one. If you turn your attention to the minimap, you will see my lovely assistant has positioned themselves a couple squares to the east of me, and this means that all the red ships that come in here will have to decide if they're feeling lucky. Well, are ya, punk? They can either show their broadside to my division mate, or they can show their broadside to me, and one by one, they will funnel in here and opt to give me their broadside first, and then try to rectify that by showing my division mate a broadside. And this right here is why you can buy a t-shirt I designed that says, "Go where your team isn't." If my division mate were right next to me, then this red team could just angle towards both of us at the same time, but because we have positioned ourselves in such a way, it is pretty much lose-lose, and this is why crossfires are how you win these games. And there goes our first one. Who would like to come in here next? We have this hipper trap now as well, and it's just a matter of time before they are removed. I was suggesting to my division mate that they switch to HE to remove the hipper, as my division mate is in the Flanders, and so, you know, that HE would be doing more damage to the bow of the hipper. Anyway, I expect this hipper to eventually make a Hail Mary and try and just zip out here and torp somebody. And speaking of going where your team isn't, this Brandenburg right here in front of me is doing the opposite of that. We really do not need another battleship in here. But whatever, you can't control what the blue team does. You can only control what you do and hope that the red team does what you want them to do. And that's going to be funneling in here, which this Flanders is. Last I checked, the Flandre doesn't have torpedoes, so that must mean that the Shiratsuyu's down here. And so I was checking to see if there was a follow-up set of torps while I take this hipper out real quick. But there doesn't seem to be, so I go ahead and use my damage con there. And now we're trying to assess the situation a little bit, right? We are not contested on the cap. So we know that the destroyer is not on here. But who is on here? The Flandre. And again, they're coming right into a crossfire. Yeah. I mean, it is kind of a questionable choice, especially with there being so many battleships right here. But this Flandre, it's going to have to choose, does it give me broadside? Does it give my division mate broadside? And they're choosing to give me broadside, so there we go. I mean, they kind of have to because they know that there's going to be torps coming from the Brandenburg, but now, now they've given the broadside to my division mate as well. So this is probably the absolute worst position. Everybody has this Flanders broadside. So, yeah, I'm going to get a little bit lucky and be able to pick up my third ship sunk with this Nick Salvo right schmear. And a pretty good one. Yep. So, alright, now what? Well, at this point, there's really not much reason for me to stick around here. So, all I'm planning on doing is flipping this cap and then going to reposition. Yes, the destroyer is over here, and yes, they can flip the point back, but they aren't on the cap right now, and I can't know their exact position until they actually do get on this spot. So my hope here is to head out of the south and try and create another crossfire, this time with our Brandenburg or with my division mate again. So we get this capped, we kind of see our Belfast. How is Belfast not able to radar a destroyer? Then again, our Belfast is about to pop some smoke and get torped, even though they have hydro. Well, speaking of Belfast, I played the Belfast 43 this morning, and I will tell you that it is pretty much a hunk of garbage. This is the great garbage patch of the ocean. Ugh. There's just nothing to write home about it. I doubt we will ever have them on the show. I mentioned on the CC Discord, I was like, I think I will actually put less XP into this than any other British cruiser with a year in its name. Anyway, back to this match. Vladivostok. All right, so excellent choice for me to head out this way because I will be able to set up the crossfire with our Brandenburg. I'm assuming here that the Vladivostok is going to do Vladivostok things and keep pushing, just slowly pushing towards us because, I mean, that's what you do in the Vladivostok, but that's not what this Vladivostok does. This Vladivostok instead opts to do a giant U-turn. So, what does that mean? That means I'm going to have access to their broadside as soon as I get around here. And there it is. So, let us launch the plane, and this should be the Dev Strike. And it is not. Well, kind of a disappointing shot right there, and I can't say that's anyone's fault other than my own. I guess I probably aimed a little bit low, but now looking at it, it looks like the angle of that Vladivostok was pretty steep when those shells got there, so they probably all just ricocheted. Actually, I guess it only said that 2 shells hit him, and 1 was ricochet. Anyway, you're going to see me hold my shot here, because there is only one direction that this Vladivostok can turn now. Well, they could always run into the island, I guess, but they're going to give me the flat broadside there, and that's going to do it. So now I'm thinking, all right, never had a Kraken in the Alabama before, so how do I want to do this? I'm going to check and see what cruiser is left, and I believe it's a Fiji. And then once, yeah, so there's a Fiji. But also, I'm thinking, what are the chances that I will actually sink that ship compared to all these other ships down here? So I don't know if this is what I want to do, but the thing that changes my opinion immediately is when the destroyer, the missing destroyer, gets on the sea cap. And at that point, that's when I turn around because I'm like, you know what? That's going to be a much better chance for me to get the Kraken in this than going to try and hunt down a Fiji. So, turning hard to, what is this? Starboard? No. Yes. Turning hard to starboard and going back towards it. And look at that. You see where I just switched my shells? Boneheaded move. Why did I do that? Because I could have just taken a shot right there at the Fiji and maybe been able to dev strike him, but whatever. I'm just planning ahead because, yeah, I know that there's going to be a destroyer here. I kind of have a feeling that they just passed through that point right in front of me, and that's where I got spotted. But as it were, they're actually a little bit beyond that point already, or maybe they're passing through it right now, because I think I'm going to take a torpedo pretty soon, and we can see some of the amazing damage reduction that the Alabama has with torpedoes. Yeah, look at this. Just can't quite get over in time, so we will put it on here, and yeah, get the flood, but we do get pretty good torpedo damage reduction, so yeah, that's not going to be the last one I take either. Well, the destroyer has flipped the cap already, but have they left the cap? You know, there's just something very appealing about big old battleships and wanting to stick around and torp them. Okay, dodging that set easily. But wait, there they are, and this should be it. Kraken 390th? Oh my lord. Okay. So, sliver of health on this destroyer. Well, that's easy enough. I can just get them in my range of guaranteed acquisition, and then we will just blap them real quick. But that isn't how it goes, is it? And this kind of just raises how ridiculous destroyer concealment is in this game. This destroyer is going to squeak out to the right there. Right when I'm spotted, they're going out through the right. Look at how far away that is. That is like, what, 5 kilometers? They should be spotted right there. It's so silly. But instead, this destroyer is going to lead us on a wild goose chase, sending salvo after salvo of torpedoes at me. And I'm like, come on, man. Look, it's just you now. Stop holding the game hostage. But I'm gonna, especially once I flipped this cap, I was like, God, well, you'd think that they would just shoot their guns at this point. And I actually have my plane up right there so I could try and spot their AA, but they must have their AA off or out of range or whatever. But yeah, so I'm just going to flip this cap and try and chase down this destroyer. And I will say this much, you know, I do understand where the destroyer player is coming from. You know, it's like, well, it'd be fun to sink a battleship. But at the same time, do we really need to just draw this out for the entirety of the match? And in their case, the answer is yes. So let's just speed this up to the very end. You know, all things aside, this destroyer did not have to shoot their guns, so thank you for being a good sport, and thank you for donating yourself to Kraken 390 in the Alabama. Alright, let's see the scoreboard. 2,709 base XP for a good game. I got pretty lucky with the red team there, but you make your own luck, and setting up the crossfire at the beginning was exactly how I did it. But GG's to everybody, and that's going to wrap it up for this one. If you prefer your barbecue sauce with vinegar or even mustard, give this video a like. If you prefer it with mayonnaise, give it a dislike. Questions, comments, you can leave them down below, and if you want to be sure and be there for the countdown to Kraken 400, then you may want to tickle that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, folks. I will get back out there for another one, and we will talk then.